You ever have one of those mornings where you're just minding your own business thinking the world's finally left you alone, and then out of nowhere a drone comes buzzing over your private lake with a tiny HOA flag flapping like it's staking a claim for some new age dictator? Yeah, that happened. I swear life out here's supposed to be simple. The air smells like cedar and stone. The water's so still you can see the sky ripple on it, and there's not a soul around for miles. At least that's how it's supposed to be. But let me back up a sec, because this is the story of how my little slice of Idaho almost got stolen out from under me. All because some folks with a fancy board and too much time on their hands decided my peace and quiet was an affront to community spirit. So picture this. It's May, barely past sunrise. I'm hauling a string of trout up from the north end buttes, still wet, thinking the biggest thing I'd have to deal with today was maybe a flat tire on my old Dodge. That's when I spot her, right at the end of my dock. Blonde ponytail sunglasses that probably cost more than my generator, fiddling with this drone controller like she's directing a NASA mission. Before I even open my mouth, she's waving at me, smiling that tight practice smile you only get from years of HOA bake sales and Pilates. "Oh, hi. You must be Milo. I'm with Clearview Shores, HOA, just doing a site verification for our new community access plan." I swear I almost dropped my tackle box. Site verification. For what? The right to breathe my air. I told her as polite as I could manage she was standing on private property. Deeded, surveyed, notarized, the whole nine. That lake and every mossy rock around it was mine, always had been. But she's undeterred, reading from some imaginary script about revised GIS boundaries and proposed transitional access jurisdiction. It sounded like gibberish, but the threat was real. So I told her, "Look, lady, take your drone, your rules, and your HOA pixie dust and get off my dock." That's when she goes full drama, topples over backwards with a shriek, like I just tackled her into the water, screaming about assault. You know that feeling when the absurdity of a situation just freezes you in place? That was me, phone already rolling in my hand. I filmed the whole performance, even the part where she peeked through her fingers to make sure I was still watching. I walked away, figured at worst I'd get a nasty letter, maybe a half-hearted lawsuit. Instead, next morning I get a knock at my door. Sheriff's deputy, maybe 25, hands me a summons for voluntary statement regarding assault. And here's where it starts to smell funny. Victim's name isn't the one I expect, but close enough. Clearly, I've stumbled into a hornet's nest. Lucky for me, Abigail, old friend, former prosecutor, now big shot in county politics, just happened to roll in that day. Over bourbon and leftover pork shoulder, we watched the video together. She laughed, said it wouldn't stick. But when Karen Lockwood, queen bee of the HOA, has the ear of county commissioners and plays tennis with the sheriff's wife, well, anything's possible. Abigail tells me if this is their opening move, you better buckle up. They're not just fishing, they're hunting. Sure enough, next morning I wake up to the sound of tires on gravel, SUVs, a marked cruiser, lights off, but purpose in every turn. 3 officers on my porch, full gear, radios squawking. I step out with my coffee, try not to look surprised as they slap cuffs on me for emergency public safety detainment. Abigail comes out in her flannel hair everywhere and raises hell, demanding to see the warrant. They show it signed at 3:48 a.m. by a judge who doesn't even handle criminal matters, rushed through by a sheriff's lieutenant with ties to Karen. I get booked, fingerprinted, thrown in a cell for nearly a day. No call, no Miranda, no nothing. When I finally get out, it's thanks to Abigail's legal magic and a state-level injunction. But that's not the end. Standing beside her is a tall guy with a federal badge, Agent Delaney. Turns out the feds have been sniffing around county land records for months, and my little mess just set off all their alarms. HOA president pulling strings, fake complaints, forged maps. They've seen the pattern before. Back at home, I double the cameras, add more motion sensors, and start digging. Abigail's got contacts everywhere, clerks, zoning folks, even an old inspector who still owes her a favor. What they find is wild. The HOAs filed a dozen motions in the last year to reclassify private land like mine, using county contracts and members' dues to pay for the paperwork. There are two maps, one official, one doctored with my dock labeled as a community deck. They're planning to force me to sell or lease under public utility laws. And to build their case, they've been quietly filing bogus complaints against me, some signed by dead people, some by names that don't exist in Idaho. Manufactured chaos. It wasn't just me either. Two other landowners, both bordering HOA property, had similar complaints filed against them. Testing the perimeter, Abigail calls it. That night, I'm up late watching the lake shotgun on my lap, just in case. Next day, I spot a blue sedan off the old maintenance road, two guys inside binoculars on the dash. No plates. They're not HOA too professional. Maybe feds, maybe not. Abigail thinks they're watching for a bigger play. Days later, two sheriff's deputies show up, except their badges are off IDs. Look like they came from a Kinko's, and the one with the phone is filming my house badly. I bluffed them, threatened to call the real sheriff, and they beat a hasty retreat. Abigail runs the names. One's a disgraced ex-deputy, the other's just an event security guy who works HOA gigs. So now I'm dealing with fake cops trespassing at Karen's request. That's when the real fun begins. Karen goes on local news, standing in front of her fountain, talking about equity and recreational access for all, spinning the whole thing as some kind of community crusade. They air drone footage of my dock, blur it just enough to avoid a lawsuit. Same day, the HOA files a petition with 200 signatures to make my lake public. We dig through the names. Dozens are fake, out of state, or duplicates. The deeper we go, the worse it smells. But then I find it an old notarized letter from my uncle, original owner, rejecting an annexation proposal decades ago, countersigned by a commissioner. It's ironclad. We bundle up every map deed and fake petition and send them to the county board, attach a legal memo so sharp it could cut steel. We even leak the whole file to the news. Next broadcast, the anchor drops the phrase unauthorized land pressure by HOA, and Karen suddenly nowhere to be seen. The county freezes the proposal pending investigation. Abigail says they're sniffing around Clearview shores, now the state, even the feds. Your lake's Exhibit A. For the first time in weeks, it gets quiet. No more knocks, no more fake inspections. I finally breathe until Agent Delaney calls. They've linked my case to another in Oregon. Same tactics, same contractors. This is bigger than one lake, maybe bigger than one state. You still get to fight, he says, but now you've got backup. And that's when justice, slow as it usually is, starts to pick up speed. Indictments drop 7 counts against Karen, 3 officers suspended, HOA's accounts. Frozen property rights abuse, forgery, you name it. Abigail calls me, barely able to contain herself. They even uncovered HOA emails calling my property low-hanging fruit. 3 board members indicted, including a zoning advisor who leaked the fake maps. The rogue lieutenant who signed my arrest warrant gets slapped with administrative leave and pending criminal charges. Then the kicker, my land gets declared a privately protected cultural heritage site. No HOA, no developer, no amount of lawyer money can touch it. Not now, not ever. The state puts up a granite marker at the trailhead private property. False claims will not open the gate. They will open a cell. After the dust settles, the story goes national. Lawmakers draft the Crane Act, making it a felony for residential associations to commit coordinated land fraud. Abigail gets a promotion. Delaney sends me a 1-line email, 1 down, 3 more HOAs under review. For the first time in a long time, it's just me, the pines, and the water. No more drones, no more HOA fairy tales, just peace. You know, people think the biggest threat to your home is fire or flood. But I learned the hard way sometimes it's just a committee with too much ambition and not enough conscience. The lesson, never let anyone tell you your peace and quiet is negotiable. Because once you give it up, it's hell to get it back. Now I gotta ask, where do you draw the line? When does community turn into tyranny? Drop a comment. Tell me if you've ever gone up against an HOA or fought for your rights. And hey, if you think justice was served, let's hear about it. If you don't tell me why, I'm listening.